Biggest surprises of 2023 for you?
The biggest surprise of 2023 to me is Dustin Hopkins, because during the preseason, we anticipated having a disaster at the kicker position. We were sure we were going to have a disaster. We were hoping that we can just get something that avoids a disaster. What we did not expect is that we would get one of the better kickers in the NFL, which is what Dustin Hopkins has been for the Cleveland Browns. So that huge surprise, given where you started. Because again, we started at might have the worst kicker in the NFL, might have the worst kicking situation in the NFL. Now we're sitting here like, hey man, he might be better than some of the best kickers in the league.
All right, let's go biggest disappointments. What has been the biggest disappointment of 2023?
Injuries. It's got to be injuries, right? Like, there's no other way that you could look at this and not say that the most disappointing thing about this season for the Cleveland Browns has been the injuries, because the injuries have really just killed the whole vibe of the season, right? Nick Chubb goes down, your tackles go down, Deshaun Watson goes down. We talked about it. We've had 6 starters that we planned on playing all year play. Is what it is. It stinks. And I guess you could throw in the surprise category the fact that you've been able to maintain a playoff spot despite all these injuries. But yeah, we're going to look back at this season, and unless this team does something spectacular in the playoffs, or if they do something incredible there, then it changes how we view it. But we're going to look back at this season and go, damn, man, that was a season where just injuries killed us, but they still persevered through a lot of it.
The line injuries, do you think that has affected the run game at all? I would assume now Jedrick Wills is not an all-pro left tackle. I think he's better run blocker than DeJuan Jones is, and I think Jones will eventually get there. Don't get me wrong. I love DeJuan Jones. I think he'll eventually get there.
Yeah, I think it does have something to do with just the sloppiness that you've seen this run game go off of. I think it's the changes that you've had to deal with, to be honest, right? Like, if you're that offensive line, look at all the changes that you've had to deal with, and then ask yourself if that's an offensive line that's going to be able to execute at the same level as they did in 2020, where they didn't really have to change anything throughout the season. They had great injury health on the offensive line. They had great injury health at running back. They had great injury health at quarterback, right? But this year, you've asked them to endure 2 tackle changes. You've also asked them to endure 4 quarterback changes. So, like, the cadences are different, the way the plays are in, the nature of the play calls are going to be different, while also working in 3 to 4 different running backs. It's just too many moving parts to have a product that's going to be anything better than mediocre in the NFL. And I think that's really been the key of it. It's just been too many changes. You can even look at the receiving room, right, and say, hey, why are we dropping the football so much? We shouldn't be dropping. Well, they got to catch a different ball from a different quarterback every other week. We haven't gone more than 3 weeks without playing the same quarterback. That's going to have an effect on people's ability to catch the football where they don't know who's throwing it. Right? Like, that's just going to have its effect. I think all the injuries in total have been what has hurt this offense when it comes to consistency in the run game, when it comes to consistency catching the football, all of these things, all of these moving parts that we've had to deal with on the offense, like, the bill comes due for that.